help us hit our first 1,000 subscribers. Your support drives us to create even more wonderful stories. Thanks for being part of our journey. In this video, I never imagined that following my wife to a cheap motel would lead me into the most shocking discovery of my life, and what I found changed everything forever. It was just another ordinary Wednesday evening, or at least that's what Michael had assumed. After wrapping up at the office, he stopped by Emma's school to pick her up from soccer practice. Emma, his lively 8-year-old daughter, jumped into the car excitedly, her blonde ponytail bouncing as she detailed every moment of her winning goal. As they pulled into the driveway, Michael noticed something off. His wife Ashley's car wasn't there yet. It wasn't like Ashley to be late without texting or calling. Her meticulous nature didn't allow for spontaneity. Michael sent a casual text asking, "Hey love, everything all right?" But the message went unread. Inside the house, Michael started preparing dinner, frequently glancing at his phone. His anxiety building with each passing minute. The clock struck 7:30 p.m., and still no sign or message from Ashley. Finally, at 7:45 p.m., headlights illuminated the driveway, and Ashley walked through the door with a forced smile, clearly startled to see Michael already home. "Oh, you're back early," she stammered. Avoiding direct eye contact, Michael felt an instant chill run down his spine. Something was definitely off. He pretended everything was normal, but his mind began racing. Why did Ashley look so flustered? And why hadn't she answered his texts? Dinner passed with awkward silence as Emma chatted happily, oblivious to the tension between her parents. As bedtime approached, Ashley's phone buzzed repeatedly. She quickly silenced it, but Michael caught a glimpse of an unfamiliar number on the screen. His heart tightened in his chest. His instincts screamed that something was terribly wrong. When Ashley slipped away to take a shower, Michael felt compelled to peek at her phone. Something he'd never done before. There, he found a single text from an unknown number that read, "Same place tomorrow." Michael's heart sank. He knew right then he couldn't ignore this. He had to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Do you think Michael should confront Ashley right away, or gather more evidence first? In the next chapter, Michael makes the heart-wrenching decision to follow Ashley, and what he finds at the motel leaves him completely shattered. The next day, Michael woke up with a heavy heart, barely managing to pretend everything was normal at breakfast. Ashley seemed more cheerful, which somehow made Michael's suspicion deepen. Was her good mood because of him, or someone else? He forced a smile as he kissed Emma goodbye before she ran off to catch the school bus. The second the door shut, Michael's smile faded instantly, replaced with a grim determination. Throughout the workday, Michael couldn't focus on anything. All his thoughts revolved around one thing: finding out who Ashley was secretly texting and why they were meeting again. He knew he couldn't confront her without proof, or she'd deny everything and make him feel like he was imagining it all. Finally, he made up his mind. He would follow her after work. At exactly 5 p.m., Michael left his office early and parked discreetly near Ashley's workplace. His pulse quickened when he saw her stepping out 10 minutes later, alone. She looked around nervously, glancing at her phone repeatedly. A red sedan he didn't recognize pulled up, and Ashley quickly jumped in the passenger seat. Michael felt sick to his stomach, but he knew he couldn't stop now. He trailed them through the bustling streets, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly, heart pounding in his chest. When the car pulled into the parking lot of a rundown motel at the edge of town, Michael's worst fears were confirmed. He watched, helpless and devastated, as Ashley and the mystery driver, a tall, muscular man he'd never seen before, walked towards one of the rooms, laughing intimately. Michael clenched his jaw, his fists trembling with anger and hurt. He had trusted Ashley completely. They'd promised to always be honest with each other. Why would she do this to their family? His eyes filled with tears as he took out his phone, snapping a quick photo of the red sedan and the motel's neon sign. He sat there frozen, unable to move or think clearly, his world collapsing around him. Just as he was about to drive away, something else caught his attention. Ashley and the man weren't alone. Another woman emerged from the room, carrying a small suitcase and looking extremely upset. Who was she, and what kind of twisted situation had he stumbled upon? Michael realized this betrayal was far deeper and darker than he initially thought. He needed answers, and he needed them now. How would you react if you were Michael right now? Would you confront them immediately, or keep investigating? Coming up in the next chapter, Michael digs deeper and uncovers a shocking secret that Ashley had been desperately hiding from everyone, including him. Michael spent a sleepless night tossing and turning, replaying the scene from the motel in his mind over and over again. Every time he closed his eyes, the image of Ashley smiling at the strange man haunted him relentlessly. Questions stormed through his mind. Who was the man? What was his connection to Ashley? And who was the mysterious woman with the suitcase? Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, Michael decided he had to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. As soon as the morning sunlight slipped through the blinds, he quietly got out of bed, careful not to wake Ashley, who was still sound asleep. He slipped downstairs to the kitchen, poured himself a strong coffee, and opened his laptop. After a moment of hesitation, he typed in the license plate number from the red sedan he had photographed at the motel. He knew it was risky and borderline invasive, but the burning need to know outweighed any concerns about privacy. Within seconds, a name flashed on the screen. Jason Miller. Michael's heart pounded. He didn't recognize that name, but he now had a starting point. Michael then opened Ashley's social media profile, his fingers trembling with anxiety and dread. Scrolling through her friend list, he paused abruptly. Jason Miller was there, not just as an acquaintance, but listed as a close friend. Michael felt his stomach churn with betrayal. He thought he knew every important person in Ashley's life. How long had she been hiding Jason from him? He clicked on Jason's profile and scrolled through the photos, growing angrier and more confused with each passing second. Jason seemed like a perfectly normal guy. Well-built, confident, and apparently successful. But why was Ashley meeting him secretly at a seedy motel? Then Michael's eyes landed on something unexpected. A picture from Jason's birthday party, and Ashley was there, smiling brightly. The date beneath the photo shocked him. It was the same weekend Ashley had claimed she was visiting her sister in another state. Michael's hands clenched into fists, anger and sadness overwhelming him. How many other lies had she told him? How deeply had she betrayed their family? He suddenly remembered the mysterious woman from the motel. He searched frantically through the other photos, hoping for some clue. Finally, buried in Jason's older albums, he found her. A young woman named Stephanie, identified in the captions as Jason's younger sister. Michael leaned back in his chair, stunned. If Stephanie was Jason's sister, why did she seem so upset leaving the motel? Was there something even darker beneath the surface? Something Ashley was involved in that he couldn't even begin to imagine? Michael realized he was barely scratching the surface of the mystery, and the truth might be more devastating than he'd ever prepared for. Could Ashley have been living a double life all along, right under his nose? Coming up in the next chapter, Michael makes a bold move, confronting Jason face to face, but the encounter reveals something he never saw coming. Michael's heartbeat was thunderous as he parked his car in front of the small coffee shop, knowing that inside awaited Jason Miller, the mysterious man who had shaken his world. Gathering every ounce of courage, he stepped inside and spotted Jason sitting in a secluded booth, unaware of the storm that was approaching him. Every step felt heavier than the last, but Michael was determined to confront him directly. Jason glanced up, clearly startled to see Michael standing over him. "Can I help you?" Jason asked cautiously, his eyes scanning Michael nervously. Michael took a deep breath, trying to steady his voice. "I think you already have, by destroying my marriage," Michael snapped sharply, causing heads in the cafe to briefly turn in their direction. Jason raised his hands defensively, confusion clouding his expression. "Wait a minute. I have no idea what you're talking about," Jason insisted, his voice surprisingly calm. Michael scoffed, anger flaring in his eyes. "Don't lie to me. I saw you at the Sunrise Motel with my wife, Ashley. Do you think I am stupid?" Jason's eyes widened, the color draining from his face. "Hold on, Ashley never told you." Michael's anger wavered, replaced by sudden confusion. "Told me what?" he demanded. Jason hesitated, clearly conflicted. "Look, Ashley asked me not to say anything, but you deserve the truth," he finally admitted. Leaning forward, "Ashley reached out to me weeks ago because she needed help. She's involved in something dangerous. Michael, something way bigger than either of us. Michael's heart stopped. This was not the confession he'd been expecting. What are you talking about? Michael whispered, fear creeping into his voice. Jason's eyes darted around nervously. Ashley isn't cheating on you. Michael, she's caught up in some dark stuff related to her job. Something involving her boss. Richard, I was helping her gather evidence to expose him. Michael felt as if the room was spinning. Ashley worked at a respected law firm. How could her boss, Richard Collins, be involved in anything sinister? That woman with the suitcase, your sister Stephanie. What was her role in all this? Michael pressed, desperate for answers. Jason sighed deeply. Stephanie works at the same firm. She accidentally stumbled upon some financial documents proving Richard was laundering money through client accounts. When Ashley realized how deep the corruption went, she begged Steph to bring the files to the motel, a neutral location. Michael's mind raced. Was Jason telling the truth? Or was this an elaborate lie designed to protect Ashley? But why wouldn't Ashley tell me about this herself? Why hide it from me? Michael demanded, his voice shaking. Jason looked directly into Michael's eyes, his expression solemn. She wanted to protect you and your daughter, Emily. If Richard found out Ashley was onto him, everyone she loved would be in danger, including you. Michael felt tears prick the corner of his eyes. Everything he'd assumed was now unraveling. Ashley hadn't betrayed him after all, but could he trust Jason's words? And if what Jason said was true, then he had unknowingly placed Ashley in even greater danger by confronting Jason publicly. Michael had to act quickly. But what could he possibly do next? Coming up in the next chapter, Michael makes a shocking discovery that turns everything Jason said upside down. But is he prepared to handle what he finds? Michael drove back home in a haze, his mind swimming with everything Jason had revealed. He couldn't believe he'd misjudged Ashley so severely. But there was still an uneasy feeling lingering deep inside him. Pulling into his driveway, he noticed a strange car parked just down the street. Windows tinted, its engine quietly idling. A chill ran down his spine as he entered his home, the eerie feeling of being watched gripping him tightly. Ashley? He called out cautiously. No response echoed back, the silence unsettling. He quickly moved from room to room, panic swelling with every empty corner. Finally, he reached Ashley's small home office, the door slightly ajar. Inside, her laptop screen flickered with the soft glow of an open document. Michael hesitated for a split second before stepping closer, his heart hammering in his chest. He leaned in, scanning through the document, confidential financial records belonging to her law firm, Collins and Associates. His pulse quickened when he spotted the name Richard Collins prominently listed alongside numerous offshore transactions. The realization crashed into him. Jason had told the truth. Ashley had been investigating Richard all along, but why hadn't she trusted him enough to confide in him? As Michael scrolled down further, another detail jumped out at him. His own name listed under one of the suspicious accounts. What the hell? Michael muttered, disbelief clouding his mind. He stared blankly at the screen, confusion and fear intertwining. Why was his name there? What was Ashley truly involved in? Suddenly, his phone buzzed loudly, jolting him from his confusion. A new message from an unknown number appeared. Michael, stop digging or you'll regret it. Think of Emily. A cold wave of terror washed over him. Who knew about his daughter? Emily? Who was threatening him? His fingers trembled as he reread the text repeatedly, struggling to process the implications. The sound of the front door creaking open startled him. Ashley, is that you? Michael called out again, stepping hesitantly from the office. Instead, heavy footsteps echoed through the hallway, slow and deliberate. Michael's blood turned to ice. Someone else was in the house. Michael, we need to talk. A deep voice growled from the shadows. Michael turned slowly, his breath hitching as Richard Collins himself emerged from the darkness. Eyes narrowed dangerously. Richard smiled coldly, a sinister gleam in his gaze. You shouldn't have meddled in my business, Michael. Before Michael could respond, Richard casually pulled a familiar necklace from his pocket. Ashley's necklace. His heart sank instantly. Where is my wife? Michael demanded, his voice shaking with fury and fear. Richard leaned closer, his expression unreadable yet terrifying. "If you ever want to see Ashley again, you'll do exactly as I say, or Emily will grow up without both her parents." Michael froze, the terrifying reality crashing down upon him. How far was he willing to go to save Ashley? Could he trust anything or anyone at this point? In the next chapter, Michael receives shocking instructions from Richard. But can he risk everything, or will he uncover something even darker? Michael stood frozen in his living room, his pulse racing, his mind spinning. Richard Collins pocketed Ashley's necklace calmly, watching Michael's reaction with a cruel smile. "I'll text you instructions tomorrow morning, Michael," Richard said coldly, turning slowly toward the door. "Don't disappoint me." The door slammed shut, leaving Michael trembling alone. He staggered backward, sitting down heavily on the couch, gasping for breath. His eyes darted around the room as paranoia seized him. How long had Richard been watching his family? How deeply had Ashley become entangled in all this? After a restless night, dawn finally crept in through the curtains. Michael's phone buzzed on cue, startling him awake. He unlocked it anxiously. A message from an unknown number illuminating the screen. "Drive to Willow Creek Motel Room 209, check under the mattress." Michael hesitated briefly, anxiety tightening in his chest. But he knew he had no choice. His family's safety depended on his obedience. Grabbing his keys, he left home, glancing nervously at every car passing by. The motel parking lot was nearly empty when Michael pulled in, adding to the eerie silence. He glanced around cautiously before making his way to room 209, heart pounding loudly in his ears. The door creaked open easily, revealing a dimly lit, musty room. Empty, yet heavy with dread. He moved cautiously towards the bed, kneeling beside it. Slowly, he lifted the mattress, revealing a small, sealed envelope. His fingers trembled as he tore it open, pulling out a photograph that made his heart drop. It was Ashley, tied to a chair, bruises visible on her wrists. Her eyes were wide with terror, silently pleading for help. On the back was scribbled hastily, "Tell the FBI nothing, or she dies. They're watching." Michael stumbled backward, nausea churning in his stomach. The FBI? What did they have to do with this? Had Ashley tried going to the authorities? Suddenly, there was a sharp knock at the motel room door. Michael spun around, his body tense with fear. "Michael Carter?" A stern voice called from outside. "This is Agent Reynolds from the FBI. Open up, we need to talk." Michael froze, his mind racing desperately. If he opened the door, Ashley might be killed, but if he refused, how could he hope to rescue her? In the next chapter, Michael must make a life or death decision. Trust the FBI and risk losing Ashley, or defy them and face unknown consequences. Michael stood frozen in the dingy motel room, his heart hammering painfully against his ribs. The FBI agent's voice echoed again through the door, sharp and insistent. "Michael Carter, we know you inside. Open this door right now. It's urgent." Panic surged through Michael as he glanced again at Ashley's picture, her terrified eyes pleading with him. He knew Richard wasn't bluffing. If he opened the door, Ashley could die. But if he refused, would he lose his only chance to save her? Taking a shaky breath, Michael tried to steady his trembling hands. "Just a minute," he called, his voice cracking. He quickly stuffed Ashley's photo into his pocket, eyes darting desperately for another exit. The agent knocked harder. "I'm not going to ask again, Michael. Open up or we're coming in." Michael hurriedly moved toward the window at the back, forcing it open with a loud creak. Just as the front door burst open, he slipped through, stumbling outside onto the gravel behind the motel. His heart pounded in his chest as he sprinted toward the dense line of trees nearby, hearing the agent shout angrily behind him. Ducking behind a thick cluster of bushes, Michael gasped for air, trying desperately to clear his head. Why was the FBI involved? Had Ashley gotten in over her head with something serious? Something criminal? Questions burned in his mind, making every breath harder to take. Suddenly, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket, almost causing him to shout in surprise. Pulling it out, he read another chilling message from Richard. "Well done, Michael. You passed the first test. Now, go home and wait." Fear churned violently inside him, The first test? What kind of twisted game was Richard playing? And what exactly was waiting for him at home? Michael hesitated, his hand shaking as he considered calling the authorities. But Richard's words echoed through his head. Ashley's life depended on his cooperation. Could he really risk contacting the police? Sweat trickled down Michael's forehead as he realized he had no choice but to play along. For now, he carefully emerged from the woods, checking anxiously for FBI agents before sprinting back to his car. His mind spun chaotically as he drove home, paranoia now gnawing at every thought. Approaching his driveway, Michael's breath caught in his throat. A sleek black SUV, one he'd never seen before, was parked ominously across from his house. Two dark figures sat silently inside, their faces obscured behind tinted windows. Michael slowed his car, dread tightening in his chest. Who were they? FBI agents? Richard's men? Or someone else entirely? He parked cautiously, his heart slamming wildly as he stepped onto his driveway. Suddenly, the SUV's passenger door swung open. A tall, imposing man in a dark suit stepped out, staring coldly at Michael. "We've been waiting for you, Michael," the man said in a chilling voice. "We have something you'll want to see." In the next chapter, Michael discovers a secret even darker than he imagined, one that could shatter everything he thought he knew about Ashley. Michael felt a chill crawl up his spine as the imposing stranger stood motionless beside the black SUV. "Who are you?" Michael managed to ask, his voice barely above a whisper. The man ignored his question, instead gesturing toward the vehicle. "Get in," he commanded coldly. "We don't have much time." Michael hesitated, eyes scanning the neighborhood for any sign of help. He knew stepping into that vehicle could mean walking directly into danger, but what choice did he have? Ashley's life was hanging in the balance, and every second wasted could be fatal. Reluctantly, he climbed into the SUV, heart racing wildly. Inside, the tinted windows plunged him into darkness. As the doors closed with a heavy click, Michael realized he wasn't alone. Sitting opposite him was another man, younger, but just as intense, staring at him silently. "Where are you taking me?" Michael asked nervously, trying to steady his shaking voice. "Please, just tell me what's going on. You'll all find out soon enough," the younger man answered, his voice icy calm. "You just better hope you can handle the truth." The SUV lurched forward, driving swiftly through the quiet suburban streets, leaving Michael's house far behind. Minutes dragged by in suffocating silence, the tension inside the vehicle rising with every passing moment. Finally, the vehicle stopped at an isolated warehouse, hidden deep within an industrial area Michael barely recognized. "Get out," the older man instructed, his voice commanding obedience. Michael stepped out, the chilly night air biting his skin as he took in the ominous surroundings. The warehouse was dimly lit, casting eerie shadows across the ground. His pulse quickened as he followed the two men inside, every instinct telling him to run. Inside, the warehouse was nearly empty, except for a single table in the middle of the room. On the table was a laptop, open to a video paused on Ashley's terrified face. Michael felt nausea rising in his stomach as he moved closer. "What's this?" he asked, panic evident in his voice. "Please, just tell me what's going on with Ashley." "Press play," the younger man instructed calmly, his eyes watching Michael's reaction closely. Michael hesitated for a second, then pressed the spacebar. Instantly, Ashley's frightened voice filled the warehouse. "Michael, I'm sorry. I never wanted you to find out like this." Michael's heart shattered as the video continued, revealing Ashley speaking desperately to the camera. "I never wanted to hurt you, but he forced my hand," she sobbed. "I'm involved with things you can't even imagine. Dangerous things." Michael felt his world spinning. What secrets had Ashley been hiding? What had she gotten herself into? Suddenly, another figure stepped into the video, grabbing Ashley roughly by the arm. Michael's blood ran cold. It was Richard, the man who'd been tormenting him. Ashley's pleading eyes stared directly into the camera, silently begging Michael to help. The video abruptly ended, leaving Michael trembling. He turned to the strangers, fury and confusion mixing violently within him. "Why are you showing me this?" Michael demanded desperately. "Who are you people? The older man stepped closer, his expression grim. "Weary, the only people who can help you save her, Michael," he said seriously. "But there is something else you need to know. Richard isn't just any criminal. He's your brother." Shock slammed into Michael like a physical blow, knocking the air from his lungs. He shook his head, refusing to believe what he'd just heard. "That's impossible," he whispered hoarsely. "I don't have a brother." The younger man handed Michael a thick folder, labeled with his name. "Open it," he said softly. "It's time you learned who you really are." In the next chapter, Michael discovers devastating truths about his past. Secrets that redefine everything he thought he knew about his life. Michael's hands trembled as he opened the thick folder, his heart pounding violently against his rib cage. Inside were photographs, documents, birth certificates. All pieces of a puzzle he didn't even know existed. His eyes froze on a yellowed photograph of two infants, twins, lying side by side. One was labeled Michael, the other, Richard. "This can't be real," Michael murmured, his voice shaking with disbelief. He lifted another document, his hands trembling more intensely as he read the official text confirming their relationship. Richard Sinclair, born 3 minutes before his brother Michael Sinclair. The older man, whose name Michael still didn't know, stepped forward. "Your parents hid Richard's existence from you," he said quietly, sympathy softening his rough voice. "He was sent away at birth due to severe health issues. Eventually, the system swallowed him up. Your parents tried to forget, to erase the painful memories." Michael felt tears stinging his eyes, his breathing uneven. All these years, he'd lived a lie. His parents, people he trusted most, had deceived him. "Why didn't anyone ever tell me?" he whispered hoarsely. "Why now? Why like this?" "Because Richard has been planning this for years," the younger man explained, his voice strained. "He blamed you for his abandonment." He watched from afar, consumed by jealousy, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The revelation crushed Michael's spirit. His mind raced, replaying every encounter with Richard, now tinted with horrifying clarity. His own brother had tormented him, kidnapped Ashley, all because of resentment and bitterness. "Where is he keeping Ashley?" Michael demanded suddenly, snapping himself back to the urgent reality. "I need to save her now." The older man exchanged a tense glance with his partner. "We know the location," he admitted cautiously, "but confronting Richard means facing the darkest truth of your family history. Are you sure you're ready for that?" Michael took a deep, shaky breath. "I don't have a choice," he responded firmly. "I've already lost too much. I won't lose Ashley too." The younger man nodded solemnly, handing Michael an address scribbled hastily on a scrap of paper. "It's an old motel, abandoned for years. Richard's waiting there. For you." Michael clenched the paper tightly in his fist, determination flooding his veins. As he turned toward the door, the older man called out one last warning. "Be careful, Michael. Your brother isn't the person you think he is. He's capable of far worse than anything you've seen." Michael's jaw tightened, his resolve unshakable despite the haunting uncertainty. "I have to do this," he said quietly, stepping out into the darkness, ready to confront the demons of his past. In the next chapter, Michael finally confronts Richard face to face, uncovering a shocking truth even darker and more twisted than he could ever have imagined. Michael parked his car near the abandoned motel, the dim neon sign flickering weakly, casting eerie shadows across the cracked pavement. The place looked as broken and forgotten as the secrets Michael had uncovered tonight. Taking a deep breath, he stepped out, heart thundering, pulse racing, every nerve screaming with anxiety. Slowly, he approached room 207, the room number scribbled hastily on the paper the mysterious stranger gave him. Each step felt heavier than the last, the dread tightening around his chest. He stood in front of the worn-out door, hesitating briefly before pushing it open. Inside, the room was dimly lit by a single, flickering bulb hanging precariously from the ceiling. A familiar figure stood in the shadows, facing the window. "Richard." "Welcome, brother," Richard spoke softly, his voice icy, sending chills down Michael's spine. "I've been waiting." "Where is Ashley?" Michael demanded, fighting the tremor in his voice. "Let her go," This is between us. Richard slowly turned around, his face pale, eyes darkened with years of bitterness and hatred. You still don't get it? Do you, Michael? Richard mocked coldly. This was never about Ashley. It was always about you. Us. The life you stole from me. Michael shook his head desperately. I didn't even know you existed. Richard, he pleaded, our parents hid it from me too. Why punish me for their mistakes? Richard laughed, bitterly, harshly echoing through the room. Because they chose you, Michael. They discarded me like trash. Richard hissed. But now, you will finally know what it's like to lose everything. Before Michael could react, Richard stepped aside, revealing Ashley tied to a chair, tears streaming down her terrified face. Michael's heart broke seeing her like that. Ashley, he whispered, stepping forward. I am going to get you out of here. Not so fast, Richard snarled, pulling out a small handgun and pointing it directly at Michael. Before I let you play the hero, let me share one last secret. Richard paused dramatically, his eyes filled with malice. Ashley knew about me long before you did, Richard revealed cruelly. We've known each other for months. In fact, she helped me set up everything. Your motel discovery, the supposed cheating, all part of the game. Michael felt the floor beneath him vanish, his vision blurring with disbelief and betrayal. No, Ashley? He murmured brokenly, searching her face for denial, praying Richard was lying. Ashley looked away, shame and guilt coloring her expression. I am so sorry, Michael, she whispered painfully. He promised he wouldn't hurt you. I didn't know it would go this far. Richard's voice grew colder. You see, brother? Everyone you trust eventually betrays you. That is the curse of our family. Our parents betrayed me. Ashley betrayed you. It's a cycle. Michael's chest tightened, breath shallow and painful, reality crashing around him. Why? Michael asked weakly, staring at Ashley through tear-filled eyes. How could you do this to me? Ashley sobbed softly. He told me you had secrets too. He convinced me I didn't really know you. I was lost, confused. I didn't realize the truth until it was too late. Richard took a step closer, pressing the gun against Michael's chest. Now, brother, Richard whispered dangerously. It ends here. Michael closed his eyes, waiting for the shot. But instead, a deafening silence filled the room. He opened his eyes, surprised to see Richard's hand shaking violently, eyes glazed with tears. I can't. Richard's voice broke suddenly. I can't do this. I thought revenge would ease the pain, but it only made it worse. Michael stared, stunned and breathless, watching his brother crumble emotionally, the weapon dropping harmlessly to the floor. All these years, Richard choked. I blamed you, but the truth is, I just wanted a brother, a family, a chance. Slowly, Michael stepped forward, gently placing a hand on Richard's shoulder, compassion replacing betrayal. You still have a chance, Richard, Michael whispered. We both do. The brothers stood quietly, emotions raw and heavy, the tension finally dissolving. Ashley watched silently, guilt etched deeply into her expression. But suddenly, the door burst open, police flooding into the room, shouting commands and shining flashlights. Michael and Richard both raised their hands instinctively, hearts racing once again. One of the officers shouted, Michael Sinclair, you're under arrest for the murder of Robert Hastings. Michael froze in absolute shock. What murder? He cried desperately. I didn't kill anyone. The officer showed a photo of a man Michael had never seen before. Robert Hastings, the older stranger who had revealed the truth earlier tonight, now lying lifeless. Richard's face turned pale. That's impossible, Richard said, confused and horrified. He was helping us. The officer glared sternly at Michael. We have video evidence placing you at the scene, Mr. Sinclair, he said firmly. You coming with us? Michael glanced desperately at Richard and Ashley, confusion and panic overtaking him. This couldn't be happening. He had been framed, but by whom? As the handcuffs tightened around his wrists, one final haunting question lingered in the air. Who was really pulling the strings behind all of this? Find out what dark truth Michael uncovers next.